Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our channel, the podcast where we tackle your biggest language learning challenges. I'm Sarah, and my co host, Mike.
Hi there, language enthusiasts. We're thrilled to have you join us for another episode.
Mike, I've been going through our listener feedback, and there's a common theme emerging. Many of our listeners say they understand English well, but when it comes to speaking, they freeze up.
That's such a relatable issue, Sarah. It's one thing to understand, but quite another to produce the language yourself.
Exactly. It's like your brain knows what to say, but your mouth just won't cooperate.
Well, today we're going to address this head-on. Our topic is, do you need to fully understand English to speak it effectively?
Spoiler alert, the answer is no. We'll show you how to focus on conveying your message without getting hung up on every little detail.
That's right. Speaking is about sharing ideas, not about being perfect. So stick around, and we'll help you build the confidence to speak English more freely.
All right, Mike, let's dive in. What do you think matters more when speaking English, being fluent or being grammatically perfect?
That's a great question, Sarah. From my experience and research, fluency often trumps perfect grammar.
I agree. Dr. Paul Nation from Victoria University of Wellington has some interesting research on this. His studies show that focusing too much on correct grammar can actually slow down the process of learning to speak.
That makes a lot of sense. If you're constantly monitoring every word, it's hard to keep the conversation flowing.
Exactly. Dr. Nation's research suggests that speaking fluently comes from using English often, not from stopping to fix every mistake.
And there's more evidence to support this. A study from Cambridge University Press found that learners who focus on speaking more frequently gain confidence faster.
So the takeaway for our listeners is, don't stress about getting everything perfect. Focus on sharing your ideas and communicating effectively.
Absolutely. Remember, even native speakers make small mistakes. It's about being understood, not being perfect.
Now, let's talk about another common issue, the fear of not understanding every word in a conversation.
Oh, that's a big one. Many learners feel they need to understand 100% of what's being said to participate in a conversation.
But that's not necessary at all. Studies from the British Council suggest that learners who focus on the main idea of conversations tend to speak more confidently.
Right, it's about grasping the overall message, not every single word. Context is key here.
Exactly. You can use context clues like gestures, tone of voice, and body language to understand the message, even if you miss a few words.
That's a great point. It's a skill that develops over time and really helps with both listening and speaking.
Now, let's share some practical tips for our listeners. Mike, what's your top advice for someone who's hesitant to speak English?
I'd say, embrace making mistakes. There's a fascinating study from Stanford University showing that learners who accept their mistakes and keep speaking improve faster than those who focus too much on avoiding errors.
That's powerful advice. I add to that, use simple, clear language. It's not about impressing people with complex vocabulary. It's about effective communication.
Absolutely. The British Council found that using clear, simple language makes conversations smoother and reduces misunderstandings.
Great points. Let's wrap up with some key takeaways for our listeners.
Sure thing. First, focus on fluency over perfection. Speak often, even if you make mistakes.
Second, don't worry about understanding every word. Focus on the main message and use context clues.
Third, embrace mistakes as part of the learning process. They're signs that you're challenging yourself.
And finally, use simple, clear language to communicate effectively.
Remember, learning a language takes time and patience. Be kind to yourself and celebrate your progress, no matter how small.
Wonderful advice, Mike. That brings us to the end of today's episode. We hope you found it helpful and encouraging. And if you have any questions or thoughts about today's topic, leave a comment. We'd love to hear from you.
Thanks for joining us. Until next time, keep practicing and stay confident. Goodbye, everyone.